Will Drake Maye turn the Patriots around? We'll show you how here on Patscast. Welcome to Patscast. I'm Brad Whitaker. Visit expressvpn.com/Patscast to get 3 months off of a 12-month annual plan. Again, that is expressvpn.com/Patscast. And Drake Maye is set to make his starting debut Sunday in the red throwbacks against the Houston Texans. And there's been a lot of critique about this decision from the Boston sports media, from the national sports media over the last 24 hours, saying, why put Drake Maye in right now behind that terrible Patriots offensive line with the few weapons he has to work with against a Houston Texans team that ranks third in DVOA? And we know the Patriots have a bad offensive line. They are the worst in the NFL, at least in terms of pressure rate, at 48%. So I totally understand the reasoning for not wanting to put Drake Maye out there right now. I don't think many of us had Week 6 against the Houston Texans chalked up as the day Drake Maye would make his debut. Many people, myself included, thought it would be Week 5 this past week against the Miami Dolphins. I think the Patriots, in hindsight, wish they had done it then. But these are the cards they've been dealt, and that's when Drake Maye is making his debut against one of the best defenses in the NFL. And we know it's going to be a challenge for him, but when it comes to this offensive line situation Drake Maye and the Patriots are dealing with right now, it's important to note that a lot of that has to do with Jacoby Brissett and what he's done these last few weeks behind that crippling O-line. The Patriots, believe it or not, ranked 9th in the NFL in average time to throw at 2.9 seconds. In fact, Jacoby had a higher average pocket time than Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers. So he was holding on to the football too long. And if we had a quarterback out there who could get rid of the football quickly, I don't think the Patriots would be worst in the NFL in pressure rate. Bottom 10, definitely. But 48%, a lot of that has to do with Brissett holding on to the ball for 3.5, 4 seconds, letting the defense get there, taking hits, getting sacks, being rushed because he's holding on to it too long, and then having to get rid of the football quickly late. I think Drake Maye is a very different quarterback. And look, he got rid of the ball in just under 2.8 seconds in the preseason, which would put him at about the 17th fastest in the NFL right now, which not great, but not terrible. That would actually put him between Patrick Mahomes and Daniel Jones, according to Taylor Kyles on X, getting rid of the football in 2.8 seconds. So that is manageable relative to Jacoby Brissett, who held on to the football about 0.2 of a second longer than that. And hopefully Alex Van Pelt will be able to scheme it up so Drake Maye has more opportunities to quickly get rid of the football. But I think it's also important to note that I don't think this offensive line is as bad as people think it is. Left tackle Vidarian Lowe allowed 0 pressures on Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. He had the highest pass blocking grade in the entire NFL in Week 5 among tackles. Now, a lot of that has to do with the injuries that Miami had with some of their edge rushers, but Vidarian Lowe has come a long way since the guy that we saw last season. As much as I poo-pooed on Lowe, and there are issues there, he is very slim and athletic for a left tackle in the NFL, but can get pushed around a little bit, and I think we're going to see him struggle a little bit at times, but he's clearly by far their best option at the left tackle spot, and we saw that on Sunday where he was quite literally the best pass blocking tackle in the NFL. I don't think it's going to stay that way, but it is encouraging. Then at left guard, Michael Jordan had just 1 pressure on Sunday against the Dolphins. Demontre Jacobs, who started at left tackle Week 4 against the Niners, was moved over to right tackle against the Dolphins, had just 2 pressures. So really the issue against Miami this past week was the center right portion of the line between Nick Leverett and Mike Onwenu. Nick Leverett had an abysmal game against the Dolphins, allowed 10 pressures, whereas Mike Onwenu allowed 4 himself at right guard. We always hear Mike Onwenu is an all-pro right guard and an okay right tackle. He didn't look that way Sunday against the Dolphins, but when you look at those two, 10 pressures from Leverett, 4 from Mike Onwenu, that's clearly a communication issue. Missed assignments. They probably can fix that with a few more reps in practice together. These two have not spent much time at all playing alongside each other on the offensive line, especially because Mike Onwenu has spent the vast majority of this season at the right tackle spot. And then Nick Leverett was with the second unit for the entirety of the preseason. So hopefully just a little bit more time. Those two can work on their communication issues and patch things up a little bit there. And Nick Leverett, although he was terrible this past week against the Dolphins with 10 pressures, actually allowed 0 pressures against the San Francisco 49ers the week before, after he came in the first quarter when David Andrews got hurt and played the rest of the game. So he played most of that game and allowed 0 pressures against that Niners front. So this offensive line is more than capable. If Nick Leverett, or if Vidarian Lowe, Michael Jordan, and DeMontre Jacobs are at least competent with that offensive line, we know what Mike Onwenu is capable of. We've seen Nick Leverett play well at the center position. They just need to get more reps together. But I think this is perhaps the best offensive line the Patriots have to work with, the best offensive line combination at this point, at least until Cole Strange is healthy sometime in 2027, or they begin to feel more confident in putting Sidy Sow back out there, who clearly was not 100% when he played a couple of weeks ago. But you have to remember that Drake Maye has never played with a good offensive line since playing at an elite level. And by elite level, I mean college or pros. In 2 seasons, starting at the University of North Carolina, they had one of the worst offensive lines in all of college football. In fact, in 2022, the Tar Heels allowed 409 pressures with Drake Maye out there, the most of any FBS school. So this is nothing unusual for Drake Maye. He's going to step right in there, and it's going to look just like North Carolina, where he played very well, especially his second to last year before he got to the NFL. And talking about the Patriots' so-called lack of weapons, Maye is used to dealing with few weapons, which he certainly dealt with in college. His top target, Tez Walker, missed most of last season due to eligibility rules. When Tez Walker returned, they lost Kobe Paysauer, their second best receivers, and his 2 tight ends were injured throughout all of last season. So not a lot of weapons at North Carolina, at least relative to guys like Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, who certainly had their fair share of weapons. Not to mention UNC's pass catchers had a drop rate of 8.2% this last year with Drake Maye as their starting quarterback, higher than any of the top quarterbacks in the draft. Compare that to Caleb Williams at USC, who dealt with just a 3.9% drop rate compared to Drake Maye's 8.2% from his receivers. So Maye finished last year with a completion rate of 63.3%, which you look at and you go, all right, that's not great. But if he had the same drop rate as Caleb Williams had at USC, that would have jumped all the way up to 71.5%, which is an elite completion percentage. So Drake Maye, bad situation in college, not a great offensive line. Even the year before when he was playing much better, didn't have great receivers, and he had a new offensive coordinator his final year at North Carolina who implemented a completely different offense and an inferior offense that Drake Maye really had to learn, in addition to assisting his teammates who had to learn that new offensive system. He was really in a bad situation last year, and a not so great situation when he was considered either the best or the second best quarterback in college football paired with Caleb Williams. So I don't think this is unusual for Drake Maye. He's ready to go. He knows what he's dealing with, and he's dealt with it before. The Patriots, I think, are going to be able to roll a little bit with their rookie quarterback out there. But I also think it's worth noting that the Patriots do have good weapons. Are they the best in the NFL? Do they have the best receiving core? No, certainly not. But Jalen Polk is a good NFL receiver, even as a rookie, despite his struggles this past week. Kendrick Bourne is back. We know what he can do. Demario Douglas is a good, could be great slot receiver. Kayshon Boutte is coming into his own. I think he is really undervalued at this point, and he's going to get more and more involved as time goes on and could be a real reliable option for Drake Maye. They're developing Javon Baker. He's probably a year away from contributing, and there's some red flags with him and character issues, so I don't think he's going to do much this year. But between Polk, Bourne, Douglas, Boutte, you got KJ Osborne, the veteran when healthy, who can certainly contribute. And also, few teams have as strong of a duo at the tight end position as Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper. So, yeah, are the Patriots missing that true number one wide receiver, which hopefully Jalen Polk or maybe even Javon Baker could become down the road? Yeah, certainly. But they have good B-plus guys out there that are going to make life easier for Drake Maye. And guys have been getting open with Jacoby Brissett, and he's just been missing them entirely. So I think Drake Maye is going to bring something to the table that we haven't seen in New England really ever, even with Cam Newton and certainly with Tom Brady, who is strictly a pocket passer. And I think Alex Van Pelt, who I've certainly been critical of here at Pat's Cast, should be incentivized to run the ball a lot more with a rookie quarterback out there, even if the Pats fall behind early, because you don't want to put too much on Drake Maye's plate right off the bat. And that should have already been happening, right? I mean, the Patriots only ran the ball 18 times against the Miami Dolphins, which is just ridiculous. We always thought this was going to be a run-first offense, and then they threw the ball twice as much as they ran the ball this past Sunday, or close to that. He could scheme up some short routes and some checkdowns to make it a little bit easier for Maye. Again, Alex Van Pelt should have been doing that for Jacoby Brissett, but he has all the incentives now with a rookie quarterback out there to rely on the run and at least give Drake Maye opportunities to get rid of the football very quickly. But even if Alex Van Pelt doesn't learn from all the bad stuff that's happened over the last 4 weeks, if he sticks to a similar game plan where he wants his quarterback to throw deep downfield even though he has no time to throw the football, Maye is far more equipped to make those big-time throws than Jacoby Brissett was. Obviously, he was masterful at college in making those deep throws, even in tight windows. One of the best I've ever seen at the college level at doing that. In fact, I don't know how this is measured, but Drake Maye had more big-time throws his last 2 years of college than any other first-round NFL quarterback. More than Mahomes. He had 72 in college. Deshaun Watson had 66. Joe Burrow had 65. We know how great Joe Burrow was in college. And Josh Allen had 60. So Drake Maye, again, I don't know how big-time throws is measured, but he tops all of those guys his last 2 years in college. And even with little time to throw, we know Maye has the mobility and athleticism to escape the pocket and make those big-time throws on the run. And he's gonna be able to do that in a way that Jacoby Brissett, who is better at that than I expected. Jacoby Brissett was way more mobile than I was I thought he was a strict pocket passer at this point. He was able to extend plays, at least the first couple of weeks, better than expected. But we know that that's Drake Maye's bread and butter. And he's the perfect quarterback to be in this situation. He's the perfect quarterback at doing more with less because that's all he's ever dealt with since getting to North Carolina. Patriots really have an opportunity here to turn things around. Are they going to be a playoff team at 1-4? Probably not, but they do have a real opportunity in front of them to dig themselves out of this 1-4 hole that they find themselves in. After they play the Houston Texans, here are their next 8 opponents. They have the Jacksonville Jaguars, not in Jacksonville, on the road in London, going to be filled with Patriots fans. Then they have the Jets at home. We know how badly they lost to the Jets a few weeks ago, but they're a clown show right now. They just fired their head coach. I think they have a new offensive coordinator. Aaron Rodgers is banged up. That might be a winnable game. Then you have the Titans, arguably one of the worst teams in the NFL, next to the Patriots on the road. The Chicago Bears, that might be a tougher matchup on the road. But they are kind of hit or miss at this point, even though they have looked a little bit better the last couple of weeks. Then you have the LA Rams at home. They've been a major disappointment. The Miami Dolphins on the road. Who knows if Tua will be back by then, but they're at Miami during a favorable time of the year. Drake Maye is from the South, so he'll be able to deal with whatever weather situation they're dealing with then. But again, it's later in the year. Will be a bit cooler. Then you have the Indianapolis Colts, who are struggling at home, and the Arizona Cardinals on the road, also a winnable game. So, assuming they lose to the Houston Texans on Sunday, which I think is a high probability, as well as Drake Maye might play, they have to go 6-2 during that stretch to get back to 500. Is that likely? No, it's not likely. Is it possible? Probably. But at the same time, they have an opportunity to pick up a bunch of wins during that 8-game stretch, build up the confidence of Drake Maye, and then head toward next year with a real plan to reinforce that offensive line, add some key pieces, and then they're off and running this is a really good chance for the Patriots in a rebuilding year to go on a bit of a run and actually have a good team by next season. I actually think the Patriots could have a good team next year. They end up with a high draft pick. They could trade back, double or triple dip at the offensive line between the draft and free agency. And if they do that, they're off and running. Imagine Drake Maye with a real offensive line. We know the blueprint to winning in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs have it right now. The Chiefs do not have the greatest offensive line. They don't have a lot of weapons at receiver. Their best receiver the other night was Juju Smith-Schuster, who wasn't even good enough to make the Patriots. So Patrick Mahomes does not have a ton of weapons. His top receivers keep going down with injuries. But what they have is the best quarterback in the NFL and an elite defense. Do the Patriots have an elite defense? Probably not this year. With all the injuries, with Christian Barmore out, with Jawan Bentley out, who knows what's going to happen with Jabril Peppers, but there's a good chance he's not going to play for the rest of the season or ever again with the Patriots. But they have depth throughout that defense. I think the Patriots, with everyone healthy heading into next year, everyone re-signed with contract extensions, they can have an elite defense next year. And if Drake Maye shows that this is the guy going forward, we're confident in him, a star quarterback, an elite defense, and then spending the off-season building up that offensive line, that is the plan. That is the recipe to winning in the NFL. I think the Patriots can turn this around by the beginning of next season if Drake Maye shows that he's capable of being their future franchise quarterback. So, look, Sunday's game against Houston, probably going to be a loss, going to be challenging. I think Drake Maye is going to struggle. I already made the prediction he's going to throw a pick in the first quarter, but he's the type of quarterback that gets better the more reps he has. That's what he did in college. Gets into the third and fourth quarter, that's when Drake Maye plays at his best. So, going to be a lot of rust, going to be a lot of growing pains early on. But then after Houston, you have this 8-game stretch against the Jags, the Jets, the Titans, the Bears, the Rams, Dolphins, Colts, and Cardinals. All winnable games and an opportunity to really build up the young quarterback's confidence. And then you have an offseason, hopefully with a high draft pick. I mean, hopefully not. I mean, hopefully they win some games. But either way, you draft the tackle in the first round. Maybe you draft another tackle in the second round, or you pick someone up in the offseason. Add another piece to the receiving core. Get that defense healthy. And then we're looking at a team next year that can actually be very good. But let me know if you disagree in the comments below. Curious to hear from you. If you like this video, be sure to smash that like button on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, or subscribe if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And we'll be back the rest of the week with more New England Patriots coverage.